carbon trading was supposed to be the least costly way for Europe to cut emissions. The idea is that industries buy allowances to emit greenhouse gases if they exceed a certain quota, or sell them if they have too many. And as I said before, this is to come right down to the personal level, because everything really always gets passed right down to you at the bottom, the consumer. Everything. Slavery is what it is. I used to look at this. See, if you study the Soviet-type models, they would get everybody, all the youngsters, and they had to do so much time in the fields and the farming to get used to the soil and in touch with nature and how food is produced, except for the Politburo children who got to go there and have parties. That's all they went and did for the elites. But the rest of them had to learn how it was done. This is what we're getting trained in now is, do you realize how much carbon you're putting out and greenhouse gases? Every breath that you give out there, you're going to pay for it and pay for it and pay for it. Back with more after this break. I'm Alan Watt, and we're cutting through the matrix. As I say, the same policies to exterminate the farmers were put across the world years and years ago. Here's an article here. It's called Small Farm Extermination. It was sent into a radio show by Thomas Lindsay, Esquire, from Pennsylvania. It says multinational agribusiness corporations set out almost 40 years ago to exterminate family farmers and take control of food production in the United States. That chilling proposition, which has been asserted by farming communities across the country over the past decade, gained support last week with the release of a document authored by several agribusiness corporations. The 1962 strategy memorandum, entitled An Adaptive Program for Agriculture, was drafted by a group of multinational corporations called the Committee for Economic Development. And by the way, that's a UN department. Every country has it, the Committee for Economic Development. And it lays down a detailed plan for the decidedly un-American corporate takeover of American institution, the family farm. Chapter 6 of the memorandum calls for a two-pronged strategy, either a leak-proof control of farm production by agribusiness corporations, or B, a program such as we're recommending here to induce excess resources, primarily people, to move rapidly out of agriculture. Do you hear this? This is from the U.S. government, 1962. Two methods of doing it. The second one was to induce excess resources, primarily people, to move rapidly out of agriculture. One of those excess resources, an Illinois hog farmer named Keith Boland, was one of the farmers who read the paper. In an interview done shortly after Farm Aid, Boland spoke of the absolute control being exercised over hog prices by the agribusiness corporations. He explained that many factory farms are packer-owned and packer-controlled. That's the ones who do all the meat cutting. And when the packers are short of hogs and they don't want to bid up for the hogs, they flood the market with their own and drive the price down. They force me to chase the market down, he says. They use their own hogs to drive the price lower. Last year, Boland lost 13 months of net worth. Last month, he cancelled his health insurance to cut his operating costs. Next year, he sees himself taking a job off the farm. In blunt testimony before the Senate Agriculture Committee, he states that this is not about efficiency or inefficiency. It's about control of our food supply by a few multinationals who are not loyal to Main Street or rural America or the American flag. What do the Bolands of the Midwest have in common with the Franklin County farmers? Plenty. They get bigger or get out, or go corporate or go bankrupt. Sentiment has pervaded all facets of farming. Whether you live in Illinois or Pennsylvania, whereas 50 head of dairy cows used to put food on the table for the family, 100 head is now necessary to make a living. Hog growing contracts leave the family farmer holding the bag for water pollution. Poultry farmers find themselves squeezed into building capital-intensive animal factories. Under this new global free-for-all with rules written by a small handful of powerful agribusiness corporations, hog, poultry, and beef farmers are forced to compete with corporate factory farms in the Midwest and overseas competition using cheap labor and lacking any health or safety protections. Combined with homegrown corporate frankenfood endeavors to splice artichoke genes into chickens to plant seed supplies to force farmers to buy new seeds corn every year, that's Monsanto, and to control the basic genetic building blocks of life, eating itself has become a hazardous affair. And that started back in 1962. You're living through a well-planned script that covers every facet of life. Well, that's it from Canada, from Hamish and myself. Where it's pouring mightily after a day's spraying. It's good night, and may your God or your gods go with you.